Hi, everyone. It is Friday at 3:30, and we are live. This is the Blockchain Legal Institute live stream. And for those that might be new to our live stream, we do this almost every week. We won't be doing it next Friday because I will be climbing a mountain, and I'm really excited about that. But we do it almost every week, and we do like a week in review and looking forward. And I have my partner and friend, Patrina. How are you doing, Patrina?
I am good. It's been a great Friday. How's your day going?
Really great. My energy is coming back, and I'm
Yay.
actually, I know, I'm actually looking forward to cutting the lawn this weekend, which I know is
Okay.
something that most people might think, why? Well, it's because I had COVID, in the last 2 weeks, so it's kind of um, getting back on into the mainstream
Mhm.
community back. But
Yeah.
the other, before I kind of pass the baton over to you, because last Friday I was sort of talking a lot. We had our yesterday our March event, our
Yes.
legal
Yay.
president of Liberland was, our keynote. We had Dale Christie from FedEx do our end note. We had three panels from all over the world talking about real world assets, laws, as well as the financial side. And what was really interesting, I mean, we had 3 hours with three panels, and we still ran out of time. And each of it was packed panels, and it was really hard for me to say no to individuals who I wanted to have speak. But the real world assets the conversation was so different than what I expected. And, when you
Oh,
looking in
good.
view of what you
Uh-huh.
think is a real world asset, well, money is a real world asset in addition to everything that you kind of use to buy. So there was a lot of interesting conversation there. There was a collective thread in the legal conversation about the fact that, which we already knew, but there was a lot of conversation about how different zones and countries and sandboxes were dealing with issues. And our professor from India said it best, the last part of it. Actually, he was on panel. He ended up being on panel 3, but it's still. He said we need global consensus on some of these definitions, and
Exactly.
the EU is definitely leading the way, but it doesn't mean
Uh-huh.
that the EU's definitions of how they're leading the way should be
Uh-huh.
the only way to
Uh-huh.
contribute, because and we are individual countries, so everyone
Uh-huh.
is going to have their own thought about what they want for their own personal community. And then in the financial panel, we were talking about both, the basic the economies within each
Uh-huh.
country, but also our philosophy of what money is, and how are we supporting individuals within um, different zones. And just because you're in a third world country doesn't mean that you are not impacted the same way as another country. And
Absolutely.
so, there was a lot of communication also, even on that panel, about people who were being arrested, and it was. And then another question that was brought up, I sort of did a wild card question. I asked, how many lawsuits actually are you seeing in your areas? Or is there an increase?
Uh-huh.
And some of the laws are so new, so there haven't been laws yet, or
Uh-huh.
court cases. But again, we all kind of realize that we have innovators that need support, as well as consumers who need protection.
Uh-huh.
But we also have a long way to go, because there's so many different definitions. And I know here
Absolutely.
in the United States, the definitions are really handicapping sometimes businesses,
Uh-huh.
because of the fact that when you're in one state versus another state, but you're doing business across.
Right.
And then the other thing that was talked about too, which is going to be a really important subject, and I know at our next event in October we're going to be dealing with sustainability, but we were also talking about DAOs and how many DAOs exist, and the number of assets that DAOs actually control. And
Uh-huh.
then there's a whole other area that we didn't even get into, is the legal liability as a result of being part of a DAO, whether you're officially incorporated or unofficial, or not
Right.
incorporated. There's so many different forms. So, but it was phenomenal. It is embedded within our YouTube and on our
Yes.
website. And I know that we're going to be doing, it's twice a year. So we're going to be
Mhm.
doing our next October, and then our cruise will be actually very exclusive. It's only going to be 50 speakers,
Okay.
and it's still about 27 panels, 30 hours of content. But what we're going to end up doing with those speakers and the content, it's all going to
Mhm.
get recorded. And then we are going to be live streaming it out to about
Okay.
15 million people after the cruise.
Okay.
So I'm putting it out there to those that are in our blockchain community. If you want to speak and if you want to have a platform to have a lot of people see what you're doing and the impact that you're making, then come onto the cruise, because it's going to be a pretty exclusive think tank. That's exactly what it is. It's a cruise think
Okay.
tank. And it's going to make a huge impact. But I'm going to
I'm
stop
so
talking
looking
so
forward
you
to it.
can actually talk about nonprofits. And I guess I'm going to talk one more minute. Because Blockchain Institute is a nonprofit, we have the Blockchain Legal Institute Foundation. Everything
Yay!
that I know, thank you so much. And we're also going the 501c6 route. So we'll have 3 different entities so we can do a variety of things for our community. But because we're a nonprofit now, one branch of it, everything that you say, we're going to do. And then we're going to share out our
Even
success
better,
or our failures. So
right?
that way everyone can take the journey and ride. And that's actually what I do with Crypto Mom too. I started the talk show, 9 years ago or thereabouts. And it was all to kind of educate myself and explore the journey. And through that, I met you and a lot of other
Yeah.
wonderful people in the community. And so anyway, so I'm going to stop talking now.
This has
Share.
been when you were talking about the panel and even about how we're all going to come together, I'm like, because, and some people are afraid of this, but we're turning into a global economy. Because I remember several years ago when we first went into the space, another attorney and I, she and I would do something very similar. And we had one of our most loyal viewers was out of the UK, not even here in the States. And so he tuned in every week just to hear what we were going to say. And then that particular platform no longer exists. So we moved and began into other platforms and Zoom, and we missed him. But he and I recently reconnected on X. So it's just, it's while it seems like we're so far away, we really are a global economy and we can work with literally anyone. And the pandemic actually just widened our horizons, because before I was working with clients primarily here in Dallas and Houston. And now we literally have clients from Maryland to Hawaii, literally. So, it just broadened the horizons. And so if the laws and the economies don't catch up, we're going to find that, like you say, consumers who need protection from those who are doing ill will, and then those who still need the freedom to be able to use different platforms in different places. So, it's huge. And so I'm really looking forward to, seeing the full panel yesterday or from yesterday. And so log in, y'all, go to YouTube and watch the stream, because I think it's going to be really interesting how you began to use that as a strategy to move forward. So it was interesting because Jackie and I were talking about this earlier, that India, I was doing some research and saw that India is now one of the largest users of cryptocurrency. And so, I was talking to another friend. I have several Jackies in my life. So I was talking to another Jackie and I mentioned that. And so she was like, well, that makes sense because India has the most number of people. Absolutely. But I also think it has something to do tied into the economy, into class, because of the fact that there are so many unbanked there. Um, there's a lot of unbanked here in the US as well, but I think that's something to take a look at. So
So what
another
was
thing.
Well, I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
interrupt for a second. The professor who was on our third panel, who's from India, he's with Galter, and it's a legal tech organization. He was saying last night that the definition of cryptocurrency in India is, I don't know if he used the word neutral, but basically it's neither recognized nor not recognized
Okay.
because there seems to be, there originally was a conflict. They did not want to recognize it
Hmm.
as a currency. So they figured out a way to kind of allow the existence of it to be and
Okay.
allow people to be able to participate with it without it having to officially recognize it. Now, it's going to be interesting to see
Ah,
how it evolves because
right.
if they, and I know that they, I mean, he's very knowledgeable, Professor Bandari, but as things evolve with um, businesses using it or people being impacted because of scams, then
Hmm.
I think that
Hmm.
there's going to have to be more clarity and definition
Absolutely.
for recourse. Maybe not
Absolutely.
in terms of the digital asset being defined, but how do you get recourse for a breach of contract or some
Exactly.
other legal issue that happened?
Hmm.
That and that legal issue will probably have more definition, maybe not in terms of what the asset is defined. So anyway, I'm going to keep letting you,
Now, I'm gonna
but
say that, totally makes sense, and that's what the important piece is because unfortunately somebody's going to be scammed, and then
mhm.
what happens to them and for them when that happens. And so I agree that's an interesting concept because we accept a very specific coin called RNC. And, I've been writing it into my contracts because I have several members that I've been serving who've been paying me in RNC. And so I put that into my contract so that way it's clear that's another currency. And if something happens and they breach the contract, what happens with that? And so all of that's been incorporated in. But I was thinking about that this week as I was writing that into the contract, and I was like, this is something that everyone is going to have to do if you're accepting cryptocurrency, making sure that your contracts cover what happens if there's a breach, returning funds if they need to be refunded, all those different things. So I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting when you said that.
And the other thing is, uh, I I want to go back to the word scam because some people might think it's only a hack. A scam can happen in a lot of different ways. So
Yeah.
you can actually send your crypto to a wallet that maybe does not intend to provide a product or service.
Right.
So that's different than a hacking, where
Hmm.
they actually go in and just take without permission.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
hacking is like theft, but a scam can also be where you are conned. And
Hmm.
so again, or then you have,
Hmm.
other areas.
Yeah. And
So
so unfortunately, it's just going to, we already see it on this side with fiat.
mhm,
So it's only a moment. And I think we talked about this last month, where we are seeing more negative things happening in the realm of cryptocurrency. And I think that as more people adopt it, that will just be true. So, like you say, at that point, they'll have to step in and do some regulation pieces. So,
I'm going to
um,
just quick plug for BLI because if you're
uh-huh.
not a member of the Blockchain Legal Institute, it's a library of resources, but it also has different areas that will cue you in as a consumer. It's not just for lawyers. Cue you in for as a consumer as to what and how some of these
Hmm.
scams issues are that you need to be aware of. So
Hmm.
whether it's copyright, whether it's trademark, whether it's intellectual property, whether it's, blockchain use cases, there's a lot of information there. So if you are trying to educate yourself so you stay protected, that's why, being a member is a great way to do it. Now, you are going to provide some resources for nonprofits. What were you going to be
Absolutely.
sharing?
So, one of the things that's coming up, I was just invited to be a collaborator on a new technology called Purpose Tech AI. And the idea around it is that you can use it as a database to maintain grants for your organization. So, definitely something for the new foundation as we're writing grants for that. But what can happen is that as a consultant, because it will be one for nonprofits and one for consultants, that as a consultant, I will be able to come in and use AI to help support me in grant writing. But also use it as a database for grants. Now, one of the conversations that we had, because I said, so how do I then research new funders? Because there are databases out there now that allow me to do that. And could AI be obviously applied to that? And of course it can. And so we had that conversation. And so that's something that they're looking at. So keep an eye out for Purpose Tech AI coming out soon. Matter of fact, I just got another email today from the CEO, Gul Asatova. And so I'm looking forward to being part of this new group that will help bring in some additional resources for nonprofits, because there are so many ways you can write grants using AI, and there are so many ways that you don't want to use AI to write grants. So it's going to be really interesting to see how and what happens as the field continues to grow,
And
and what we
I,
can do
I
with it.
want to give another plug to the book that we wrote, How to
There we go.
Fundraise with Digital Assets. And we have chapters in there about AI, and it's
Yes.
available on, Amazon. So you can definitely do your own research for sure with our book, as well as using Patrina as a consultant. And I know that I've been using Patrina, and we're going to be navigating the foundation so we can actually share our experiences with you guys.
Yes. This is gonna be so cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Mhm.
And then one last thing before we wrap up, because we are at 16 and a half minutes. Wow.
No, it's
I hope
amazing.
time flies. So I promised you that I was going to talk about that platform that allowed you to use and pay in Bitcoin. So I did my
Yeah.
research, reached out to the company. It's called BitPay. And they've been established for several years. And so anyone can go to their website, bitpay.com. Not a plug for them. We're not associated, just sharing the information. But you can go to their website and incorporate it into your current systems. So if you are looking for a way for my small business owners, y'all get some information out here too today. You can incorporate that into your payment systems and accept Bitcoin as well. So
So
something
I
to really
will
consider.
definitely do that over the next 2 weeks. And that way I can come back to you, Patrina, and everyone else who's listening to say, how easy is it? I mean, that's one of the reasons why I ended up opening, because of Crypto Mom too. I kept opening up all these wallets. It doesn't mean that I have anything in the wallets, but I wanted to see how easy is it to navigate. And
Right?
so I'll do that on behalf of the foundation. And that way I can report back to everyone, yes, it was super simple, or maybe I'm not tech savvy and I have some issues.
Right, right. So
Yeah,
therefore, hey, you know what? Learn from us. That way you get to see it in real time as we do it, and we can tell you our successes and failures. So awesome.
exciting. Okay, well, we are at 18 minutes, so we have already extended our 3 minutes over, because we had told when we started, we said we were doing 15 minutes. All right,
Right?
everyone, have a good 2 weeks. We will be back in 2 Fridays. And for everyone, as I always say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We are so interconnected. We're all part of one world. And now more than ever, and it's spring, so definitely
Yes,
enjoy wherever you are. Oh my gosh, I see all the flowers. I know for some that have allergies, that's an issue, but it's beautiful right now,
it
and I'm
is.
enjoying the change of season. So a lot of hope, a lot of prosperity for everyone. Have a definitely good health. Have a great one,
Yes.
guys.
All right. Bye, y'all.